today's video, I'm going to show you how to unlock the Another Round Dark Ops challenge in Call of Duty Zombies, because for those of you that don't know, to obtain this Dark Ops challenge, you need to get to round 100. In fact, we actually live streamed our first ever attempt of doing this earlier this week, and we got it done first try, no practice. So this strat is definitely one of the best out there. So if you're struggling to get this calling card and get this challenge done, let me show you how we did it. So yes guys, as I said in the intro there, this calling card is tied to getting to round 100 in Call of Duty Zombies, and that can be done on any map. But the strat that I'm going to be showing you today is revolved around Liberty Falls, and more specifically the jet gun, which is the wonder weapon in that map, to get us through the rounds with very minimal risk. I'm sure for those of you that are high rounders yourselves or a part of the community that go for high rounds in Zombies, you can already hazard a guess as to what we're going to do, because yes, we are going to be utilizing the zipline camp strat, because it is just genuinely the easiest way to get to round 100. As much as it's mind-numbing and relatively boring to do, it is the most effective. Now, before we jump into Liberty Falls and obviously try and go for around 100, there are a few things I want to point out. For instance, some of the augments you can use are going to come in very handy. As you're probably seeing with the gameplay in the background, as soon as you hit round 50, which is kind of like the cap for the zombies in terms of their damage output and speed, things can get very hectic, and where they do hit quite hard, if just one or two of them get through and get some quick swipes on you, that can actually put you down really easily. So one of the first augments that I highly recommend that you work towards is getting the reactive armor augment on Juggernog, because whenever you do have one of your armor pieces broken, it will stun the zombies around you, which will give you time to basically keep killing them, focus on the ones that are closest to you and just get them gone. But another beautiful augment to have is also Dying Wish on your quick revive, because there were some times where things got a bit hairy and I did actually end up being put into Dying Wish, and where we are going to be standing right next to a zipline, we can use said zipline to get our health back, go and grab the perks off the Wonder Fizz, which is on top of the bank roof, to then return and get back to the grind. But of course, that's not the only thing that can save you, because you can actually apply Ether Shroud to your starting class, which again has a bunch of augments attached to it. So if you use things like the extension, that of course means you can stay in Ether Shroud for longer, but even things like Void Sheath can be very good, because of course what that will allow you to do, especially if you fully upgrade your melee weapon, is actually defeat manglers super quickly. So let's just say you're using the strat, like hopefully an example that I'm showing on screen right now, and you get pushed off by a mangler, because that can happen. You can then just pop Ether Shroud, and on the way back to getting in position, you can maybe kill one or two whilst you're there, so you can get some free kills in whilst you're in Ether Shroud, extending your time, which will allow you to get up nice and easily, whilst thinning the herd, as you would have maybe actually killed one or two manglers. But other than those three things, so having the augments on Juggernog, Quick Revive, and of course Ether Shroud, in terms of weapons, it doesn't overly matter what weapon you want to use. That is because, as I've mentioned many times, the star of the show is going to be the jet gun or the thruster dime, whatever you want to call it, and that is what we are going to be using in the later rounds. But of course, before we build or get the jet gun out of the box, you will need something that's going to allow you to build up a load of points, because we do want to pack a punch the jet gun to the maximum and upgrade our knife or melee weapon again to its maximum. So we're going to need a whole bunch of points, and of course we're also going to need to buy all our perks too. But shock horror, my second weapon was the GS45s. You guys know how much of a GS45 merchant I am. But again, no matter what weapon you want to be using, maybe you want to use a particular weapon that you're trying to do camo grinds on right now, feel free to use those weapons. Just make sure that you put a suppressor on them. The reason why suppressors are obviously so good is because you get an enhanced amount of salvage, and salvage again is crucial, because in those later rounds, where rounds start lasting a long while, and of course we're going to get things like abominations in the game, we can rely on score streaks like the chopper gunner and the mutant injector to deal with those abominations, and of course get through the rounds much quicker. And as much as we can get these as loot off of manglers, if we build up enough salvage, we will then have more than enough coverage to be able to make them on the crafting tables. Also, if you happen to go down, again, you can then go and craft some self-revives. So again, having a high amount of salvage is going to be key as well. So with or without the augments, if you just start up your game and then just start flying through the rounds, racking up your salvage, racking up your points, you can go and buy all of your perks, Pack-a-punch your weapons, including your melee weapon as well. You can also, whilst you're doing this, go and build the jet gun, and I'm not actually going to show you all the steps to do that right now. In fact, we've got a dedicated video that can show you everything you need to know about that, and that will be linked in the top of the description. But you realistically should have the setup around sort of like round 30, 35-ish, and that is when rounds start to become a little bit more tricky with just the amount of manglers that spawn in, and it was around about sort of like the late 30s, early 40s where we started using the Strat. And in order to make use of this Strat, all you simply need to do is make your way to the top of the bank's roof and then buy the zip line that leads back to the spawn. We're actually going to sit inside that sort of like barrier that opens on the spawn side, so on the spawn roof, because if you sort of like perch yourself in this position, zombies are of course only going to filter one way to you, and by using the jet gun we can basically just insta-kill all of the zombies as they run towards us, as well as interrupting all the manglers while still doing damage to them with the right trigger attack, which yes is the sucking attack, hoovering them all up, making for one of the most easiest round 100 strats. Now again, just a few things to point out. With the jet gun, you do not want to be holding the right trigger. So your RT or R2 button, that sucks the zombies in. Do not hold it. You kind of want to like keep tapping it. So as you're seeing with my ammo consumption, it's actually going down much slower. Like it's actually getting like a tick of ammo back for every 2 that I'm using, kind of. Because then that way you'll be still using the main attack in a similar fashion to if you were holding it down. But of course the weapon isn't going to overheat as quick. You also have extended time by pack-a-punching the jet gun to its maximum, so that's why it's crucial to get it to pack-a-punch level 3. And again, it's kind of a little bit hard to explain, but if you sit a little bit more to the left, that is kind of like the perfect angle just to get the zombies in as well as the manglers, to ensure that not many things can hit you. But as I mentioned in the intro, sometimes the zombies will get quick swipes in, because as you're going to be seeing in the gameplay right now, when you do suck them in, they're going to have like an animation where they like roll towards you but then quickly jump straight back up and then swipe. That can happen multiple times, and of course if 2 or 3 zombies do that, that can deal a lot of damage. But that is why the augment for Juggernog, the reactive armor, will come into play, stun those zombies, give you enough time to obviously just clear out anything that's in your near vicinity. And again, I don't think I mentioned it yet, but also make sure that you have level 3 armor as well. And again, as you're seeing, the manglers are going to take a lot longer to kill, and it's actually kind of a little bit of a godsend if you do get a bunch of them grouped up, because that really does like single file the zombies coming through. And the thing is with manglers and also abominations, as they too will be stuck in like this weird animation where they're being sucked in, they will take damage over time. It's going to be much less damage, but just by constantly doing this RT motion, just keep tapping the button, you will eventually kill them. And of course manglers have a great chance of dropping score streaks like mutant injections and also chopper gunners, but don't overlook LDBRs and also sentry turrets, because even in like the rounds 90 onwards, sentry turrets still actually kill zombies really quickly. So if you like end your round and you're just looking at like all of the salvage that's around you, if you do actually happen to have a sentry gun, they can be extremely useful. But what I will urge is that you either have a mutant injector or a chopper gunner on you at all times, because as much as the Dying Wish, Ether Shroud, and of course that reactive armor can save you, so too can your score streaks. If you see yourself about to go down, or like there's just a lot of zombies in front of you and you're not too sure what's going on, you can just whack out the chopper gunner or use your mutant injection to become invincible whilst you open up those relative score streaks. And then once you're in the score streak or turned yourself into a mangler, you can just whirl on the zombies and fly through the round. And then for vermin rounds, the best tip that I have for you on this is to actually come to this sort of like alley in between the first doors that you can open up on the right hand side, so just next to the comic book shop. And if you sit in front of these bins, that will manipulate the spawns to just simply be right in front of you. One thing to note though is that these vermin rounds will last a very long time, so long in fact that you might even get a warning for being kicked for inactivity. So basically, don't put down the controller fully, keep moving your character basically left to right, but as long as you're in line with the bins and don't go like further back towards the spawn, the vermins will still keep spawning right in front of you and you'll be absolutely fine. Just, yeah, be careful using this strat, because it still takes a good sort of like 5 minutes or so to get through the rounds, and if you wait any longer than 5 minutes, you will be kicked for inactivity. Just also note, vermins hit hard. After round 50, if they do a lunging attack at you, they will take away 1 full plate of armor and if you don't have any armor, it only takes 2 of those to down you. This is actually the only down that I had during the whole run, because I was just kind of like a bit nonchalant and naive to the pest rounds, but they definitely hit me hard. So again, just be wary, don't take your eye off the ball in the vermin round. If anything, you kind of need to pay a bit more attention, especially with that, and making sure you don't get kicked for inactivity. But when you do complete a vermin round, just get yourself back up to the top of the spawn area, sit back in your little camping spot, keep flying through the rounds. And also another thing that I forgot to mention is whenever you get an insta-kill, go back to your regular weapon so you can give the thruster dyne a bit of a break and make sure it's at 100% ammo capacity. And if you are using something like the GS45s, it's actually really easy just to kill everything whilst an insta-kill is active. And also that way you will also get more salvage, because hopefully you would have put a silencer on it. So if you are running low on salvage, insta-kill windows are a perfect time to try and build that back up. But again, even if you just simply use the jet gun, you'll be sucking up all of the armor and the salvage that zombies do drop. So again, just make sure that you're constantly putting armor on. Keep an eye on your health bar, and whenever an abomination spawns in, feel free to use one of your score streaks to take it out. Or if you're just getting very close to round 100 and you don't want to take any risks, just rely on the score streaks. And like I mentioned earlier, just make sure at the end of the round you go and make another chopper gunner or mutant injector, so you just got one of them on you at all times. The best way to basically end a round is try and keep one of the manglers alive, because they count towards obviously the round count, but they don't get any faster with the higher rounds. So basically, by keeping a mangler alive, you can go and do whatever you need to do at the end of the round. If you went down, you've got more time to go and make some self-revives. Like say, if you used your chopper gunner or mutant injection, you've got time to go and make a second one. They also have a chance of being dropped by the manglers themselves, so if you do get another one in the round, feel free to use it. And of course, nukes are also going to be a godsend, so just keep flying through the rounds, using everything available to you, because as long as your RT or R2 button doesn't give way stopping you shooting, you will eventually get this done. And the brilliant thing about this challenge is you can save and quit. In fact, during the live stream, like I mentioned in the intro, we were only able to get to round 70 because it took us about 3 or 4 hours to get there, and I unfortunately couldn't carry on any longer with the live stream, so I had to save and quit and complete this challenge later on that same day. And by saving and quitting, you don't reset your progress. As long as you hit around 100, you should get this calling card and of course complete the Dark Ops challenge. So yes, that is everything that you need to know to get this done. This challenge is a little bit more tedious as opposed to being skillful, and it of course is using a method that is pretty boring, so maybe load up a podcast or get some music playing whilst you're doing this to keep you entertained. But as long as you can keep grinding out the levels, you will eventually get to around 100. And as much as I'm making this guide without the use of gobblegums, of course gobblegums might help you get to round 100 a lot quicker. But that will ultimately conclude this video. I know it's a little bit of a longer one. I believe as I'm doing this voiceover, the DLC will obviously be releasing later on this week, but there was some information that just released that apparently is going to cap manglers or stop manglers like hitting as hard. Basically, manglers are going to get nerfed, so if you are having a tough time with this challenge right now, when the DLC drops later on this week, so Thursday 5 PM GMT for us in the UK, that update will bring in some nerfs that will make this apparently a lot easier. So if you want to do this over the weekend, maybe that will be the best time to do it, but it's certainly more than doable now. We did this first try, so it's a super effective and super simple way to do this. So hopefully this video does help you out. If it does, be sure to leave a like on this video, because again, not only does it help out this channel tremendously, but it also helps others find these videos that are maybe struggling to get these Dark Ops challenges done. So by liking the video, you're also doing your bit for the community. And if you want to stay up to date for more challenges and of course more DLC coverage, then also feel free to subscribe, because we'll be going into absolutely everything that Citadel Daymore has to offer for us. So definitely stay tuned to the channel, as like I say, we'll be covering everything. But for now, I've covered everything for this particular video. So again, thank you all so much for watching. Thank you all for the crazy support. Have fun going to get this challenge done. But I guess for now, I'll catch you in the next video of whatever it is that we make. Bye bye.